This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
This is the Ramble. I'm Alex Bennett. We're going until midnight tonight from the East Coast of the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, you know him, you love him, and everybody loves Larry. Larry Brown. Hello, Larry.
Everyone loves Larry. Was that a sitcom?
No, I think it should have been. That could be your sitcom. Everybody loves Larry. Or how about nobody loves Larry?
Yeah, that would be more like it.
Yeah, it's more. What?
McLean Stevenson didn't he have a
well,
sitcom
he had
Larry?
it was a big failure, that show. It was called Hello, Larry.
Hello, okay, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
And
he left MASH for that.
He left MASH. There's a list of famous actors that left successful shows and ended their careers. He's one of them.
Yeah.
He was funny, though. Who was the girl that left Cheers?
Shelley Long?
Yeah, Shelley Long, yeah.
Yeah, was replaced by...
You never heard of her again?
No, we never heard of it. Well, we did. She did a couple of movies. You know, they go on, they do a couple of movies, and they're moderate successes, and then you never hear from them again. Yeah. You know, keep your day job. I mean, if you've got a series, play it till it dies. You know?
Oh, you milk it, yeah.
I mean, Seinfeld took it to 9 years, and then he just said, hey, we're still good, but we're not going to get any better, and we're only going to get worse. Let's stop now while the public still loves us, you know? And he did. And that was a good time to do it, but that was 9 years in.
Yeah, and if you watch that show, the last season, the writing starting to get kind of bad. So I think he made a good decision.
You did him. I think in that last year, didn't you have the Soup Nazi episode, for instance?
Soup Nazi, no, that was like the middle of the series.
No, I think it was either second to last year or the last year. The last year I didn't feel was that bad. The final episode was horrible.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
No one's ever had a good finale, have they? In a long run. MASH had a decent one, I think.
MASH had a decent one. You know, ending a series is always the most difficult thing because there are a couple of things that play into your decisions that you make on that show. Not the least of which is, suppose a couple of years from now we want to bring it back. So do we end it in a way that we can't bring it back? You know,
you can't kill everyone off.
So they always do it in some way that, well, maybe they can bring it back. You know, like they brought back, what was that one with the guy who's gay and the straight woman? I can't remember the name of it now.
Oh, Will and Grace?
Will and Grace, yeah. I mean, that thing came back, and it did a couple of seasons, actually. You know. So, who knows why people suddenly decide to leave these series when they're successful. It's stupid. It's really stupid.
Well, I guess McLean Stevenson was probably offered his own sitcom. Said, yeah, I'm tired of being a supporting character, but no.
Well, they went with the money as opposed to the funny. Okay, folks, I'm be here all week. No, he went with the money, I'm sure. I'm sure there were offers, and you get this idea when the offers start coming in, right? That you're bigger than the show you're on. And he wasn't bigger than MASH. I mean, I think if anybody came out of MASH a winner, it was Alan Alda. I got the name right? No, not Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Alan Alda.
Yeah. He was. I think he had a very successful career after MASH, but he was the only one. Wayne Rogers is, selling coins on Fox. So.
I think he died.
Did he die? Did he die?
I think so. He was. Yeah, I think he was really good at stock. The
Yeah,
stock market.
he says he was. He was one of those guys who claimed he was just great at stocks, and so he made a living out of pushing that sort of image. But it didn't necessarily work, you know. But
that was a well-written show.
MASH?
Yeah.
Yeah, well written. Yeah.
And it. You know why it lasted? It was because it was set in a period, and shows like Cosby didn't do that well in syndication because they looked dated. And
Right. Nothing looks dated if you're doing something from the past.
right.
But yet, MASH. Do you see MASH anywhere? It must run some places, But it's like
maybe it's had its course. But
well, it's like on one. I think it's like on one of those channels that every TV station has sub-channels now. They didn't have it years ago, but because of the new digital, they have sub-channels. They have like up to 4 sub-channels, and they can broadcast on those sub-channels. So most stations have at least one other station, and so they go to these syndicated people who syndicate old TV shows, and they put them on those channels, and that's where MASH is. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
You'll hear your TV station occasionally say, "Oh, go to my TV," or whatever the thing's called, on channel 847 on your cable, right? So you go there, and there's MASH and a bunch of old shows. So that's where I've seen MASH, but I don't see it on like TV stations saying late night, "Oh, let's run MASH."
And I would say out of that show, Alan Alda was the only one that had a career after it ran.
Well, no, Jamie Farr didn't. The guy who
Loretta
Swit had a minor career after that. Then her looks gave way. And I'm
Radar,
yeah, he didn't have much of a career. Alan Alda had a good career afterwards. He and I don't know if that is a process of having a good agent or just having the desire to succeed. So I don't know. But what were some of the worst sitcoms of all time? That's a good question.
My Mother the Car.
Well, have you ever seen My Mother the Car?
No, I just heard about it.
This was Jerry Van Dyke as the son, and his mother dies and is recreated, or what is it? What's the word you use? Reincarnated. I have no grasp of the English language lately since I've been taking these pills for my neuropathy. It kind of makes me forget words. But she's reincarnated as a car, played by Ann. The voice is done by Ann Southern, a great old movie actress, who had a show called The Ann Southern Show. And it wasn't terrible. It just was such a stupid idea.
Yeah,
that
horrible.
People made fun of it. My Mother the Car. Oh boy, that's stupid. But it wasn't as bad as people think it was. To me, you know what was bad? I just found it the lowest form of television ever was the Beverly Hillbillies.
And it was huge.
It was huge. No critic in America liked that show. Okay? No.
That's when we found out how stupid America was.
Yeah, but it became a sensation. But I always thought Beverly Hillbillies, which was, by the way, originally titled, I saw the pilot. The original title was Hillbillies of Beverly Hills.
Oh.
Yeah. But it was Beverly Hillbillies, and a terrible show. Just a terrible show.
It was. And it ran for close to 10 years, I think.
I think easily it ran for 10 years, and nobody left that show, by the way. Because
they were.
I think everybody knew that was pretty much it for them.
Yes, although I think.
Well, when did you ever hear of Buddy Bear Jr. again?
Max Baer.
Max
He was
Baer
the,
Jr. Excuse me, Buddy.
son of a heavyweight boxer.
Well, Max Baer's brother was Buddy Baer. That's why I said Buddy Baer.
Okay.
Max Baer Jr. When did you ever hear of him again? And I couldn't even get his name right. You know,
Yeah.
Donna
Irene.
Douglas. Donna Douglas was Ellie Mae, right?
Right, and then there was Irene Ryan was Granny.
Yeah, she was an old Broadway actress. And Buddy Epson.
Buddy Epson had he had a lame detective show after
Barnaby Jones, I think it was called.
Barnaby Joe, yeah. That's great.
Yeah, but he also, you know, he did Davy Crockett before he did the Beverly Hillbillies. Yeah, he was Davy Crockett's friend. Before that, he was in movies. He was very big in movies. Do you know what his claim to fame is?
No.
He was supposed to be the Tin Woodman in The Wizard of Oz.
Wow.
But he put the makeup on, and it turned out he was allergic to aluminum paint, or the paint they were putting on to make him look aluminum, right? Or look tin. And he wound up in the hospital. It was so bad, the allergy. And they had to replace him with Jack Haley. You know.
Well, he was. He probably know this theory. Buddy Epson is an old Bob Rubin bit. Buddy Epson's got a big head.
Yeah.
And
Oops, I just lost him. Boy. Well, let's see if we can get him back here. Here we go. Let's see here. Larry is unavailable. Let me see here. See, Skype really sucks. It really does.
Okay.
Skype sucks. You know that?
yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, here's a good trivia question for you. Because I mentioned Jack Haley. What do Jack Haley and Judy Garland, who was the other star in The Wizard of Oz, have in common?
I have no idea.
Well, her daughter married Jack Haley's son.
Oh, really?
Yes, Jack Haley Jr. Yeah, see, there's some trivia you didn't know, okay?
Do you know? That's old Hollywood trivia.
That's really old Hollywood trivia. Yeah. What do they have in common? Yes, yes, yes. I had some other trivia question like that, but I can't remember what it is now because my brain is mush today. But there was a commonality of people who were in The Wizard of Oz who wound up in some other picture together. But I can't remember now, so I won't bring it up, okay? All right.
Okay.
But other series that were terrible. I've thought I Dream of Jeannie was terrible.
Yeah, I might have stayed on because she was hot.
Because she was hot, yeah. Have you seen her today, by the way?
Oh, she's 90.
Yeah. She's on her, 20th facelift.
Yeah, she's had a few, I think.
You know how you can tell bad facelifts after a while? Their cheeks get hollow. There's that line that goes from the mouth all the way up to, the top of the chin.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look normal.
Yeah. And that's from too much plastic surgery, and she's obviously had it, But in her day, she was hot,
And like you, she's from San Francisco.
But it was a stupid sitcom. The trouble is, for years, we got nothing with stupid sitcoms. They were all kind of goofy, And my father hated them, and I'll tell you why he hated them. He said, in all of these sitcoms, Dad is always the stupid one.
Dad's an idiot. Yeah.
Dad's an idiot. Mom is the stabilizing force in the family. And he felt that really presented a bad image of the American father. And he was right. He was absolutely right. Nobody ever complains about that because it was something that was happening to guys and not to women. They say, oh, well, the trouble with I Love Lucy is she was a woman and portrayed as being goofy and dopey. Well, come on, it's a sitcom, you moron. Everybody's dopey in it. That's what they do with Amos and Andy. They say, everybody there is either goofy or they're conniving or whatever. And I go, yes, you know why? Because it's a sitcom. If you did it about white guys and you had exactly the same characters, in fact, that would be fun to do. Let's do a white version of Amos and Andy. Well, if you did it the same way with the same component of characters, you'd go, oh, that's funny. You know? I talked to black people who loved Amos and Andy. Because
I think from what I read that show didn't present black people in a racist light. It was actually kind of positive.
Well, I mean, you had you had the Kingfish, who was a conniving guy, and you had Andy, who was kind of dumb, okay, and then you had Amos, who ran a cab company and was an entrepreneur, okay, and then you had lawyers, and then you had doctors, and every profession that you can imagine, who were all presented in that show, so that there was a wide swath of black experience done on that show. And yet everybody went, that show was racist.
Yeah, it'd be killed today if they even brought it up.
I was watching some show on ABC, I can't remember where, and they brought up Amos and Andy, and they said, yeah, it was thrown off of ABC because blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, it was never on ABC. It was on CBS. It was on CBS because it had been a long-running radio program. And they went and tried to do Amos and Andy, the TV show. There's a pilot of it using Freeman Gosden and Charles Correll, who were the creators and played Amos and Andy on radio, who happened to be white. Okay? And they did them in blackface, trying to do the show. And they all decided they did it because that's what CBS wanted them to do. And then they did it, and they finally went to CBS and said, this does not work. Okay? We tried this in the movies, and it doesn't work. We need to hire black actors to play the parts. And virtually that show gave just hundreds of black actors jobs. What was wrong with that?
Yeah.
You know? And on radio, it was the same thing. They were white, but every other actor on that show was a black actor. And they were happy to get the work. And they weren't being treated, a lot of the characters weren't what you call the black stereotype. And I just always was bothered by the way Amos and Andy is remembered. And yet when I talk to black people who grew up during that time, I say, what do you think of Amos and Andy? And they say, I love that program. And they love that.
There you go, yeah.
They love that program because precisely their race was being represented. Okay? That's a good thing. It's a really good thing. But,
yeah, the first 10 years of TV, I mean, who was the first known black person on TV? Was it Rochester?
Well, when you're talking about a black person on a regular show, that would probably, I would say it would have to be Eddie Rochester Anderson. But the first black person ever to have a show, you know who was the first person ever to have a show? That I can remember?
It
was 15 minutes long every night, 5 nights a week.
Was it a singer?
Yep.
I would guess Nat King Cole.
Absolutely. Yeah, he had a show every night. But when it comes to a sitcom, that goes to what's her name? Oh, God, my mind's a blank now. Oh, God. She did a show about a nurse.
Diane Carroll.
Diane Carroll. She was the first black performer to head up and be the star of, outside of Amos and Andy, that's an exception, to be the star of a sitcom. So,
that was mid-'60s, late 60s.
Yeah, it had a name of her name, the name of her character as the title. It didn't last long. It lasted only 3 episodes or something like that. And then the network said, gee, this isn't going because she's black and nobody wants to watch a black person. You know. Today, if you're white, it's hard to get a job as a lead in a series.
Yeah,
it's gone the other way, you know. And
the first, I think, in a Bill Cosby was in I Spy. That was like 65, I think.
Yeah, Yeah, but he wasn't the star. He was the
He wasn't a
co-star.
star, but he's kind of the it's him and Robert Culp.
Yeah, right. And I think the networks fought against that, but the producers said, no, it's a good idea. And they did it, and it worked, Because, I mean, to begin with, Cosby is so likable, Maybe not today, but in those days, he was one of the most likable people in America. Hey, listen.
Those are the people that always have the darkest lives, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, we've had a good time with Larry Bubbles Brown, and I say it's time to call it quits for this episode.
Yes, we've been canceled.
Okay, Larry.
All right.
See you next week.
You got it.
Okay. Bye-bye.
This is Bennett, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 7th year. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Oh boy, it doesn't like overmodulating too well. There, you hear where that went bad? Yeah. Okay. Well, the hell with it. I don't care. Let me see here. There's nobody waiting to be on the show tonight, so maybe I'll just say to hell with it. Yeah. Okay. That's good. Josh Wheeler just came online here. So I could probably talk to him, I guess. Yeah. All right. Also, I mean, lately, God, the numbers last night of people listening to this show were just pathetic. Just absolutely pathetic. If we don't start, I don't know what to do to this show to get people to want to listen to it more. Maybe there's just nothing to talk about. I don't know. Anyway, there are 2 people here waiting to come online. So why don't we just go to our there they are. Hello, Josh. Hello, Jeff. How are you? And let's see here. Vernon's coming in here. He should be here any second now. I guess I pushed the button there. Yeah, he should be coming in here. Yeah, there he is.
I'm on.
Are you okay, Vernon? Vernon? Can you hear us, Vernon?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. I don't know. He seems to be having some problem. Wait a minute. Oh, there you go. Turning off the TV set. Right?
Yep.
What were you watching?
I was watching the Weather Channel and that hurricane that's about to hit Louisiana as a Category 4.
This was a question I wanted to ask tonight, and I was thinking about this earlier today. I'm watching MSNBC, and it's wall-to-wall coverage of what's going on in Afghanistan, right?
Yep.
And I'm thinking, what's a more important story, as an example? That hurricane, which may hit you soon, okay? Or Afghanistan.
Number of people who are getting poisoned by ivermectin.
Yeah. Or how about what do you call it? The whole COVID situation. I mean, wouldn't we be happy just to lose 15 people in a given day? So I don't think we are putting our everything in perspective. Yes, Afghanistan is an important situation, but it doesn't need all the coverage that it's getting. Instead, the things that really have a good chance of killing you right now are not getting that same coverage right now. Am I wrong about this, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would probably not agree. I mean, the Afghanistan situation is the biggest story. I mean, the hurricane thing will affect people in that area, and they will talk that to death.
But how about COVID? There are going to be more deaths tomorrow from COVID, or today from COVID, than deaths in Afghanistan that we had.
Well, I mean, that's maybe true, but I think COVID has been pretty well covered. I mean, I think.
Well, don't you think that this Afghanistan story is being overcovered?
I don't know that it could possibly be overcovered, but I mean, we're talking about 1 week versus we've had to listen to this COVID thing for a year and a half, and the Afghanistan situation is pretty fluid.
That's true, but all I'm saying is we don't seem to put things in proportion to their consequences to us. Okay, so I don't know. You know, that's just me. I'm a naysayer.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't care for weather or storm or hurricane coverage or whatever. That is the most ridiculous. I mean, I can't stand any of that. And before anyone chimes in with, well, have you ever lived through a hurricane? Yes, I have, as a matter of fact. Yeah. I did live in Florida and went through it. And
we got a hurricane here in New York.
Just like all the rest of them. It was a bunch of huff and puff and puff, and then as soon as it hits land, it fucking rains a lot. Now, I understand there's one every once in a while that, you know, certainly causes a lot of damage. Okay, so take your shit and leave, or don't take your shit and leave. Do what, I mean, there's a reason I don't live on the coast.
I was trying to think about this the other day. Is there anywhere that you can live in the United States where you aren't subject to some kind of meteorological problem or geological problem? I mean, you get tornadoes in the Midwest, you get hurricanes in Florida, and the West Coast you get earthquakes.
Well, you forget about the New Madrid Fault in Missouri.
Yeah, but that hasn't blown.
But they've been saying that it's about to for the last 40 years.
No, for the last couple of hundred, they said it was going to. When's the last time it went?
18-something, I think.
Yeah? Was it bad?
Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't here.
Oh, okay. Did it make all the news channels? Did they talk about it for weeks? No.
Well, supposedly where I live, we should, if it does decide to shake, rock, and roll, we would feel it here in Louisville, but probably not have substantial damage. But we would probably be the recipients of people who are injured in that area, because St. Louis would probably not be able to handle it because it's right there where the fault is. Yeah. And the next biggest city would be Louisville or Nashville.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So I mean, but all I'm saying is that when I was studying journalism, broadcast journalism, I was told that proximity is everything. In other words, people only really care about the news in their back door, outside their back door. So if there's a hurricane coming and you live in Florida, then you care about it. But if there's a hurricane coming and you live in New York, we really don't give a shit, And the same thing is true of things that happen in New York. Yes, crime rate is up. Well, it doesn't affect me in Des Moines. So I mean, when you turn on these news channels that play to the whole country, they're not servicing the mentality of smaller parts of the country.
Plus, channels like MSNBC, they run 24/7. They've got to fill that air with something.
Well, and they do. A lot of flotsam and jetsam, Yeah. I mean, a lot of nothing. So, what have you. Anyway, I've done my griping for tonight, okay? Hello, Patrick. What did you say? What was that came out of you?
I said hi.
Oh, I think it went, ah.
No, hi.
Yeah.
Did he say nay?
Yeah.
Did he take some ivermectin?
Right. Are people actually taking it?
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
Boy. That's interesting. Because, I mean, come on. Just because on TV your favorite news channel tells you that ivermectin somebody on it, it's not, Fox isn't saying it as a general rule, are they? It's just their hosts like Hannity and so on are claiming that
Laura Ingraham,
that this is, and don't they realize how many people they're killing by doing that? Where's the conscience?
I haven't heard about very many deaths, but there are people spending, like one story I saw today, a guy in Oklahoma took the injectable kind of ivermectin that's intended for cows. He drank it and he drank it and spent 9 days in the hospital recovering.
Oh boy. Well, this is the Darwinian theory at work. We're weeding out the stupid. So
Yeah, there's no cure for stupid.
there isn't. Yeah, ivermectin. I mean, it's ridiculous. But anyway, well, I'm through talking. I have nothing else to talk about. How about you, Josh? You usually have something to bring up.
Yeah, I mean, look, I spent a good portion of the day talking to Kevin and Patrick about the Afghanistan deal. I mean, it's obviously was the big story when we talked last Friday, and the story really hasn't gotten any smaller. It's only gotten bigger, and the situation has only gotten worse. I mean, this has been turned into a real fuck up.
Well, has Biden turned into a loser on this deal?
No, actually, I think he's doubled down and saying, I'm going to get the Americans out of there, and then you Taliban can deal with ISIS-K.
Well, they didn't say that last hour, because in the last hour they flew drones over ISIS-K and unloaded on them.
Yeah.
So apparently...
I mean, on this deal here in particular, yeah, I mean, I don't think he's handled it well at all. I mean, look, I voted for him, and I'm a supporter of his. I was early on when you guys, didn't think he could win. I told Patrick the other day, I like Joe Biden before most people probably even cared to know who he was, even though he'd run for president a couple times before. I mean, I've always liked Joe Biden, but look, on this deal right here, I mean, I'm not going to deny that the situation was pretty bad, and there were a few things, that he was handed kind of out of his control and all that, but I'm not going to take a lot of excuses in this. I mean, this has been fucked up pretty bad.
Yeah.
And, a lot of it's his fault. I mean, I don't have a problem with the wanting to withdraw from Afghanistan. I mean, that's a legitimate political and military position. In fact, I would probably agree with it, really. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean you have to fuck it up while you do it. And I think that's what's happened here. I mean, and now, again, I'll be brutally honest with you. 13, 14, American 15, whatever it is, American service members are dead, and a lot more are injured, maybe pretty seriously, I guess. And I'm not going to say that's his fault, or I blame like he's personally responsible. No, that it's an act of a madman. But he put these people in a pretty bad position, and I think he needs to lose a little sleep over it, for sure.
Well, was there a better way of getting out of it?
Obviously, I think there was, yes. I mean,
no,
I don't understand.
This was going to happen no matter when. No matter when we did it, this was going to happen.
The fall of Afghanistan might have happened, but this chaos on the way out the door didn't have to happen. I mean, if the U.S. military by now cannot tactically withdraw from a theater of war, then they have serious fucking problems that need to be fixed.
Well,
you cannot tactically withdraw from a theater of war that you have owned for 20 years. You're fucking fired. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's that. I mean,
well, why did we wait to? What I didn't get, and I haven't been able to get, is why did we wait to this week? All right. To suddenly get these people out of there. I mean, shouldn't those people at the embassy have been gone out of that country a month ago?
They didn't anticipate the Taliban being as quick and taking over places.
Well, but you have to assume that might happen. That's always a possibility.
I can't believe that, Verdon, because they have to have intelligence on the ground and know what's going on.
Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Josh and I have been discussing this, and if there was intelligence on the ground, they had to have known what the weaknesses were of the people that they've been training for the last 20 years. And you've got the Joint Chiefs, and I hold General Milley responsible as well. And I think, I honestly believe that the State Department and the Department of Defense are giving Biden half-assed advice, because there's no way that Biden, I don't think, could fuck this up as bad as he has on his own without being given this information. And the thing is, we've seen several times over the last week, he goes out and says one thing, and then his Secretary of Defense or the Secretary of State, that clown Blinken, goes against what he said. Oh no, because Biden came out one day earlier in the week and said Al-Qaeda is not in Afghanistan. And then an hour later, Blinken comes on and says, yeah, we know they're there. Well, are they intentionally giving him bad advice so that he can fuck this shit up? And the thing is, nobody can lay this at the feet of Trump anymore, because it's a new administration, new cabinet, new people, and these are all the people Biden picked. So it's up to Biden now, much the same as what Obama had done and Trump, to start fucking rolling heads. If you fucked up and you gave me bad shit, you're gone. And the first one would be Blinken. And I'd get rid of Milley as well. I think Milley's a fucking clown and a disgrace to the uniform.
Okay.
He certainly has not handled anything well in the last year and a half. I mean, you know, the failed response at the Capitol, the shit with Trump, this shit here. I mean, look, that maybe he's had a nice lifelong service record or whatever, but he's obviously reached a point where, I mean, I wouldn't rely on this guy. And I mean, look, I understand, you know, Biden's point about, well, you know, the commanders this said that, and they told me this, and they told me, look, like I told Patrick, I don't pay the president to listen to the commanders. I pay the president to make the commanders listen to him. I mean,
well, we don't know truth.
But I'm just telling you, okay. Yeah. As a military historian, just doing whatever the commanders want to do has never done anybody in charge any fucking good.
Well, let me just say, let me say that so far, Biden is a disappointment to me. You know, I think he has handled this badly. I agree it was dropped in his lap, okay? This deal with the Taliban was made under Trump, and it was dropped in his lap. But once somebody throws the ball to you, you got to throw it to whatever base it's got to be thrown to. You know, you can't just stand there and go, what do I do with the ball? You know. Yes, Patrick.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I will give Biden credit for moving the date from May to August. And what that time should have been is his staff that he himself hired on, that should have been an extra almost 3 months that they could have planned for a better exit. And they didn't.
Well, keep in mind that one of the things Trump did before he left office is he put a lot of his loyalists in some of these bureaucratic positions, and they began stalling when the new administration came in, so that they couldn't do the things that they should have been doing, because these Trump loyalists were stalling that shit from the get-go.
Well, didn't you move the date back further from August to October or so? I mean, the bottom line is you have a new Secretary of Defense. Isn't he in charge of the people under him?
Yes, but the new Secretary of Defense cannot just come in and clean house and start from square one and get everything done. They have a tendency to rely on people that are there that they think they can trust. Mm-hmm. Now, it takes time for them to learn that they can't trust some of these bastards and to get rid of them.
Well, then they should have, like I said, they could have moved this, and I think a lot of, I do believe that these people have been feeding Biden bad information. And I mean, I agree with Josh that the buck does stop with Biden, that it's him who's supposed to be running the show and not the show running him. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I mean, you've got the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, that guy got a spine that's worse than mine. And that motherfucker trying to run the military, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, Tony.
And I'm going to agree with you, Alex. And for the fact that, too, like you and Josh were saying, and Patrick, we were there for 20 years. The timing is such a bad timing on the essence, too. We're 2 weeks away from September 11th. I mean, it doesn't, it's just like, we're there 20 years. You know what? He's trying to get COVID passed with the shots. Just hold the guys there till next year. Is it really going to kill us to keep them there longer?
Well, the deal wasn't made. There was a deal made with the Taliban by the Trump administration that we were going to get out by a certain date certain. That was May 1st, I believe. We weren't going to meet that date because it was too soon for this new administration to deal with, so they pushed it up to the end of August. I don't disagree with that, but on the other hand, we should have been from the very beginning started shredding the documents and getting everybody out of that State Department, what do you call it, the embassy, because we knew that they would have to go anyway, and better to get them out earlier than later. And what we did is we started getting them out too late, and now we're hustling to get them out. Now, there are some people in Afghanistan, they also want to get out, but they weren't working with the embassy. They're American contractors and so on and so forth. And I think it's their job to get their ass to the airport, okay? We can't be responsible for everybody that's over there on business, okay? We can be responsible for everybody that went over there because we sent them there. And we said, you got to do a job here, And I think you also do it in a logical order. You get we started taking the troops out. We shouldn't have taken the troops out. We should have moved the Americans out first and then had all the military hop on planes. I mean, what was that? Why did we suddenly downsize our military before we got out?
I don't know. I mean, look, I think a lot of that is the president's decision because he does have sort of a hard-on for leaving Afghanistan. Again, which is a perfectly
hey, look, I think there is
legitimate policy.
There isn't a Democrat in this country, and there isn't a Republican who doesn't think we should be getting out of there. Okay, that's not the argument here. The argument isn't how, rather what, but how. But I think that most Republicans say they want it out of Afghanistan. We've wanted out of Afghanistan. Every president who has been handed this hot potato has wanted to get out of Afghanistan, but they never did anything about it.
Right, and look, I mean, like I said, that's a legitimate policy directive from the president. That's certainly his prerogative, and all that kind of stuff. But the implementation of that policy, the carrying out of that process, which he is also in charge of, has not been done well. And I don't care too much for the reasoning or what I would call an excuses. Well, but we had an agreement with the Taliban or whatever. Well, fuck the Taliban. I don't give a fuck.
Well, I mean, here's the deal too. I mean, you have to hand it to Trump. He said we're getting out of there. Okay, we'll give him that much. But he didn't have a plan on how he was going to do it. There was no plan. He simply left office he didn't have any plan at that point, and it was handed to Biden, who then was handed a withdrawal with no plan. But that should have been the first thing on his plate the minute he got in office.
Exactly. Yes, and that's what I said.
No, I disagree. The first thing on Biden's plate was COVID.
You could handle COVID and that at the same time, Vernon.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you can't walk and chew gum.
No, but they're two
We don't know that he wasn't doing both.
They're two entirely different issues with two entirely different solutions. Huh?
Then you better not be president if you can't handle more than one thing.
I'm not saying you can't walk and chew gum at the same time. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is maybe we don't know what all was going on.
I believe he was doing stuff behind the scenes, and they do that stuff.
Exactly.
It's covert. It's covert stuff that they don't.
Exactly.
They don't tell nobody about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
And I don't care
is it
how he
enough? That's the other
prioritized.
question.
I mean, I don't care how they time manage their day to go about figuring this out. I mean, whatever. But but they didn't do a good job at it. I mean, I don't care if they
That's the
spent
point.
all their day on it or half their day on it or
The
10
main
minutes a day,
problem-
whatever.
The main
I mean,
problem
they
that I
didn't-
see is
they didn't
optics.
do a very
The main
good job.
problem was optics. It's not that they weren't doing anything. It isn't that they weren't doing what they should have been doing. It just turned out to be some terrible optics.
Yes, I agree. And
And
it probably wasn't. It probably wasn't a good job either in some aspects of it.
I mean, like I said, I don't care how they came up with the plan or whatever. It wasn't a good plan. I mean,
Look, I think
you know,
that-
they didn't do a good job. I mean, that's just that. I mean, if they came in and they said this is unrealistic and we can't do it right or anything, and then they said, yeah,
But you
Trump
know
told him
something?
this.
Then he
I
would have
don't
been
care.
accused of not getting out. You know, he would have been yelled at. The Republicans would have been yelling about, we made a deal with the Taliban. We have to get out of there. So, I mean,
Well,
there's no way Biden could win on this
Trump
deal.
also said ISIS was gone, and sure and shit, we all knew it wasn't gone.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Well, I
said
can tell
ISIS
you,
was done.
I can just tell you before Patrick talks that if I were the president of the United States and I had to get yelled at by Republicans to not get 15 American Marines killed, I just have to get yelled at by Republicans.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes,
I
Patty.
mean,
yes,
that's just the way that it would have to go.
Yeah.
yes, Patrick.
What was I gonna? I lost my train.
Boy, you're getting as bad as I am.
Just say that you agree with everything I said.
I was I was gonna bounce off of something Kevin said. Now I lost it.
Fuck him.
But
My question is,
Fuck you up, didn't I?
when the fuck are we going to get a good president? You know, we have been going through hell, and this time, it isn't that Biden's a terrible person or a horrible person like Trump was, or a venal person like Trump was, but
we all know in the front it was a placeholder.
that Biden was a placeholder.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But what's coming?
And they let Saran out. I mean, what is going on?
It's not Saran. He's not
What's
a
his name
rat.
again? What's his name again?
Sirhan.
That's it, yeah. They let him out, Alex. I almost fell on the floor.
Saran. Yeah.
I mean, he killed Kennedy and they letting him out? What is going on with this law system, really? Come on.
But did he really kill Kennedy? Anyway, Patrick.
Yeah, what I meant to say earlier was with Trump, none of this can be laid at his feet anymore. Again, because once the administration came in with Biden, moving that date and all, like Kevin was saying, behind the scenes, all of that shit had to be done, and Biden had no problem getting rid of just about everything that Trump did as far as executive orders. So for anybody on the Democratic side to be complaining or saying anything about Trump with this clusterfuck, they're full of shit, because Biden has control of everything, or should have.
Well, my question is, if Trump were still president, and now he was faced with this and the deal he had made, what do you think would be going on right now? It'd still be the world's largest clusterfuck, and even more of a clusterfuck.
And I would blame, it would, and I would blame Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, just like I'm blaming Biden. But what I can tell you for sure would be happening is Democrats would be losing their fucking mind, and they would certainly be yelling a lot louder about it than they are now. Which is a political reality of where we live. I get it.
Right.
But I'm just saying that's what would happen. And look, I'm not like, oh my God, Biden should resign and we should just remove him from, I mean, come on. I said he fucked this up. I mean, he's done a really nice job.
There are Republicans who are saying
I mean,
exactly that, Josh. There are Republicans who are saying exactly what you just said.
And of course they're
Biden
going
fucked
to.
up and he should resign.
They're going to say
which is
that.
a totally stupid statement to make. Just like there were a lot of Democrats that wanted Trump to resign for this, that, or the other. I mean, that's a game that they all play.
They all start yelling that. It's just their positioning. Yeah.
Everybody's quitting.
It's almost like clockwork. You can expect that's what the opposition is
Automatic.
going to say. Yeah.
And I don't subscribe to that. I mean, I think by now, you know me well enough to know, I'm pretty fair about this kind of stuff. Like I said, Biden messed this up really bad. Has nothing to do with a lot of other really nice things that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
I voted for him. I'm not upset that I voted for him or ashamed that I voted for him. I mean,
what was your choice? Okay.
Well, I get that, but I'm just saying. I mean, I'm saying you could have a head coach whose team went 12-4, and one of those 4 games that they lost, they got beat terribly, and you're like, man, he had a terrible day.
That's
the way it is.
The person I feel sorry for here is Patrick, because he couldn't bring himself to vote for Biden either, so he had to vote for, I don't know, some granola cruncher who was running for president.
Well, and I mean, let me just say this with Josh too. He's right. Josh, I think, was the only one on the panel for the year before the election that kept yapping about Biden and saying that he's going to get the nomination. And so Josh is not coming from a standpoint that people could accuse me. I mean, hell, I'm defending the guy now, partially, but I don't think there's anybody that's been on this panel that has a more clear view than Josh would, because, I mean, he was the one, like I said, Biden's going to get the nomination, and I think every one of us laughed and said, no way.
Not true.
Then he gets the nomination, and
Not true.
Well, I figured he had the best shot.
I thought Biden was going to get the nomination from the get-go.
And I think I pretty much felt that. I mean, I certainly couldn't see Bernie Sanders getting it. It just wasn't in the cards. But the fact was that, you're right, he is a placekeeper, Kevin. I mean, he's there taking care of.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, I'm just saying, this situation here has been, it's been messed up pretty bad. I mean, I thought the press conference the other day was
pathetic.
Very well done.
It was pathetic.
I mean, I didn't care much for that. I mean, I found parts of it difficult to listen to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just think from the start of this, he hasn't done a very good job, and I would have had higher expectations. I mean,
and honestly, I think they knew this shit was going to happen, and he just decided, I'm gonna bite the bullet, and this shit's going to happen. We'll deal with it as it goes along. I honestly think that's the way he took this.
Well, Mike,
they prepared for it, and they set it up, and they knew that, okay, we're going to set this date. This is what they said we were going to do. We decided we were going to do it. They prepared as much as they could covertly beforehand, and they said, okay, let's push the button. We're going to go for it, and what happens is going to happen. We're going to have to put up with the heat, and they went ahead and did it, and they're going through with it. He's sticking to his guns. I got to say that much. He's got balls.
There was no perfect way to execute this.
There was no perfect way to do it.
No perfect way to execute it.
And anybody that would have done it would have run into the same shit. And I think that the only thing I got to hand it to him for is he's taking the heat. He's standing up there and taking the heat. He's not telling them anybody, well, it's this and well, it's that. He's saying the buck stops here. Here we're going. We're
he's
going through with it.
Also under Trump, we were used to.
In the press conference, he said, "We will find you and we will take you out."
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
They launched airstrikes against ISIS-K this evening.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You got to hand it to him for that much.
Well, as I said last night, we could say we were going to bomb them back to the Stone Age.
Yeah,
but,
right.
But that would only put them 3 years ahead of where they are right now.
Yeah.
Nobody wants TV, cable, nothing. They don't know how good it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is, and he's taking the heat, and I think he's going with it. So
Well, I mean,
And a year from now, we won't be talking about this.
Trump.
That's probably true.
Well, Trump would have painted the whole thing as a big lie. He was said, "Oh no, we're doing great over there," and no, that we've got it in hand, and whatever. He would just lie his way through it. At least Biden is saying, "Okay, we made some mistakes here.
we're getting hammered. We're going to hammer them back when we can." But
I don't think the fact that ISIS-K attacked our people is his fault or his lack of duty. Okay, I think
it was bound to happen.
There was bound to be
Those
something.
fucking people are nuts.
We were worried that it was going to be the Taliban, but the Taliban seems to be cooperating with us because they hate ISIS-K.
Yeah.
And I think they want us out of there without us keeping some troops in for the time being. They want to see us gone.
Because they get their land back. They
That's
get their
right.
shit back, and then they can start doing all the bullshit that they want to do.
Yeah.
And we're only holding them up and standing in their way.
Well-
They just want to get us out of there.
Well, they announced today through one of their many people who speaks for them, that their intention is that anybody who wants to leave Afghanistan, can do so. That they're not going to stop people who want to leave. So let's see if that becomes true.
I mean, I think that's what they say, but I don't know necessarily that that's what they do.
In which case,
we're not suddenly going to start trusting these fucking guys.
Well, I mean, in which case,
I'm not.
In which case, if anybody who wants to leave Afghanistan can leave, it's going to be pretty terrible for the men over there because there'll be no women left to have sex with. Because every woman in that country will leave. Yes, Patrick.
The only issue I will take with what Kevin said is I think it was done ass backward. And we said it earlier in the show that it should have been the civilians out first, and then you get the military out. And then, yes, there's very high likelihood that that military would have been attacked as it is now, but you wouldn't be worrying about civilians and all of that, because the military then at that point can do what they need to do and not worry about protecting civilians. And that's where I think this was fucked up, and that it didn't have to be this way. It was done ass backwards. And as soon as Biden moved the date from May to August, they should have started withdrawing embassy people and civilians then, so that once we hit this time, it's just the military and whatever equipment we wanted to get out and get the fuck out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think that we did it all wrong. But then a lot of you got to remember the downsizing of the military in Afghanistan was started under Trump. So it wasn't like we left everybody there and then got our people out first and then said, okay, the last military guy out the door, turn off the lights.
No, but if I take exception to that too, because if you turn the page there, what if we did get all the civilians out, and then all we had back was military, and them fuckers were building up even more, and then decided, okay, now that's just the military, let's go all balls to the walls. And then we start losing our military. We could lose 50, 100, 1,000, whoever's there when these nutcases come out of the walls.
Well, you see who we were.
And now we lose a lot of our military guys. Do you think we'll get pissed?
You got to
then?
remember,
Yes.
in this.
I understand we've got a better military, but when these guys come out of the woodwork and start picking our guys off, and then all of a sudden we're reacting and we're losing more than 15 or 13, whatever it was, I can't remember, and we're losing more of our military, you will be really pissed off.
Yeah, but you got to remember that to begin with, we're not really dealing with the ire of the Taliban. The Taliban doesn't like any of this that's going
I'm not even
on.
talking about the Taliban. I'm talking about the covert ISIS people.
Because we don't have enough military there, they were given the job of the Taliban of keeping that road to the airport open only to people who had to get out of the country.
Yeah.
And have you seen those guys? These are not exactly great military guys.
No, they're standing there slumped over with the gun.
To
in their
begin
hand.
with, they got AK-47s that they just got last week because it was left somewhere. Okay,
Yeah.
and they're wearing fucking pajamas, and they've got no military boots. They all wear tennis shoes. They all have Nikes on. I don't know. I think Nike's supplying the Taliban.
They probably robbed them.
Yeah, you know.
They were left behind at Bagram Air Base.
Yeah.
But that's part of the problem that with all this being messed up is none of that kind of administrative or security responsibilities or anything like that should have been entrusted to those type of people. And I know people are going to say, well, we don't have enough troops to do that. Well, then you should have kept them there to do that. They should have tactically withdrawn from a theater of war like it was a theater of war, and not like they were all just going home on vacation. I mean,
it almost looks like they may have used the civilians as sort of a cover to kind of keep them around and mix them in to try and
And by the way,
there's no good answer.
Patrick, you may not like Blinken or his law firm of Nod and Winken. You may not like him, but the fact is that the guy we had before him as Secretary of State made this deal. Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, Alex, I understand.
It's the executor.
You can keep going back to what was. The point is what is. And who is in charge.
Well, the buck stops
We're not
here.
worried about the past anymore.
Well, the buck stops here.
I'm
Once
worried about the past. I'm worried about the past from this standpoint, Patrick. I'm worried about the past because of all the crap that went on the last year in 2020 under Trump, and we're still feeling the effects of that. So that's why I'm worried about the past, because these nut jobs are still out there, and they're going to still be doing this crap.
Where in Afghanistan?
In this country.
Oh,
all this stuff that's going on down south, all this COVID spikes and all that kind of stuff. It's because of the people who were following Trump and believing his shit.
But even Trump, the other day at a speech, told his people everybody should go get a COVID shot, and they booed him. They booed him.
Fucking crazy.
That's because they're crazy nut jobs.
Yeah, but they booed their hero.
Anymore, Alex.
What?
It's like they can't believe their leader anymore.
No, but they booed their hero. That's the thing.
I was like, what are they doing? It's. I'm telling you, this country's bizarre world. Really, I really am believing it now. I'm like you. I don't even want to. I'm afraid to go anywhere other than my area. I think there's just nutville all over the place. We got to pay people to take a COVID shot. Don't take it. I'm tired of people who beg. I'm tired of begging.
I got very mad. I got very mad that they were giving $100 to everybody who get a COVID shot. You don't want a COVID shot? Okay, die.
I mean, I don't want to be mean. Don't take it. I gotta bribe these people to take it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I can, accept, that Trump supporters are, theologically or philosophically different from me or whatever, and are maybe doing stupid things or whatnot. But I don't know that I can't use that as a reason for a poorly executed withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Oh no! We're not even beginning to say that.
I don't know that one has anything to do with the other, in my opinion. I mean, I don't care if Trump fucking massively screwed it up 15 minutes before he left office and then went out and told all the TV cameras that he fucking screwed it up, and he did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Still doesn't change my mind any at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it was poorly executed. And it continues to be. I mean, I think that's my problem with it. When it first even began to go sideways, they've taken no real steps to mitigate those
circumstances. Now, he's playing it by the year now.
They just continue to screw up.
Everything that he, when he first got in office, I felt he was handling the COVID thing beautifully. He was getting the shots into arms and everything. But all of a sudden we get the Delta variant, and all of a sudden we find out that not enough people were getting those shots in arms. because the new variant was far more pernicious than the one that came before it. And he didn't count on all those people that didn't get it. I think we got to have some tough laws in this country forcing people to get the vaccine for the health and the welfare of the country. I don't think you can anymore say, well, you have the right not to take the shot if you don't want it. No, you don't, because you're going to get me sick. You're going to get Kevin sick. You're going to get Patrick sick. No, you don't have the right not to. You take the goddamn shot, put it in your arm. It's not going to hurt you. And unless you're a Christian Scientist and religiously don't believe in this, we can live with the Christian Scientists not getting a shot in their arm because there aren't enough of them that it's going to make a difference. Yes,
or we
Pat.
can use the Second Amendment and go out and pick off all the ones that don't want to get shot.
They need to start putting pressure on companies to start making it mandatory.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah. I think if you start picking off these companies and making it mandatory, that will be a good start.
Yes, yes, Pat. Tony.
I went to put my mother's number in at the bakery the other day. He has the lotto machine inside, so the 58 bus stop stops right in front of it. So this lady got off the bus, and she must have went to one of these rallies in the city that says no mandates for shots, like she was like a non-vaxxer. So a guy pulls by and yells, "Get the fucking shot!"
I just find that the reason why we've got a real problem still, and it's terrible out there.
Yeah.
It's terrible not for you and me who've had all of us, I think, here have had the shot. So we're not in that category of people who are endangered. I mean, we could still get it, but it won't be that bad. But nevertheless, I mean, just the fact that these people are causing hospitals to overflow.
Yeah.
And I saw a thing today where it said that people at one hospital who had to go in there for like cancer operations and things like that, things to save their lives, can't get beds in the hospitals. Well, who do we blame that on? We blame that on people who didn't get vaccinated.
At least the FDA did approve it, like you said, Alex, which is a big step, I think.
Well, they approved it before. I mean, the fact that they let everybody put it in their arm was okay,
But I think, like Brian said, if the companies start cracking down, like you said, and the teachers union in New York, they have to get. If you're a teacher, you have to get vaccinated.
No, you have to get vaccinated, or you get a stick stuck up your nose twice a week.
Something like that.
Well, I don't agree with that. 3 times a week. I just
test daily.
Get the fuck out
in spite of the fact you love them tests, Brian. How do I know that you got your test yesterday, but today, how do I know you didn't catch COVID?
Exactly.
I mean, the only safe way for us to protect people is with the vaccination, and it works, and nobody's growing a third arm. And nobody's freaking out over this stuff, and
spoons aren't sticking to your arm.
I saw that. Yeah, somebody did that. Yeah.
Third arm would be good.
Yeah, Jeff.
I just want to remind everybody, when I was in the 3rd grade, polio was a big deal.
Yep.
And here's the way it happened. Teacher says we're all going downstairs. Okay. And we all went downstairs, and we stand in line, and they all gave us a shot.
Or even better,
there was no choice.
Or better, because kids hated shots. Sugar cube.
Really?
The Sabin vaccine is the one that really solved the problem, because kids didn't have to get a shot in the arm. They just took a nice, sweet little sugar cube. And I remember it. It was a sugar cube, and there was purple in the middle where the liquid had been poured. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, we literally wiped polio out. Polio was totally decimated over the entire face of the planet.
And did anybody argue about it?
No. And does anybody argue about the fact that the kid's got to go to school, but he has to have his measles vaccination? Or he has to have this, or he has to have that. And do people mind getting this and that? No. But all of a sudden, this is terrible. This is something that kills you. as I said, 15 soldiers got killed in Vietnam. Vietnam, jeez, I'm losing it. In Afghanistan yesterday. It's very sad. How many Americans died because of COVID yesterday in America?
A lot
And
more.
we don't have Charlie tonight to tell us.
Yeah, we don't have Charlie tonight to tell us. So, I mean, let's all put this in perspective, okay? The real story here is people get vaccinated, but I'm talking to the already vaccinated. So
I was feeling much better than I should have, and I looked up the statistics for my state, and only 47.7% of those eligible for both shots have taken it in my state. Only 47.7%. I thought it was much higher than
were you
that.
saying you were feeling good?
Yeah. I was thinking that because I've gotten my shots, everybody that I know has gotten their shots and everything.
Yeah.
But statistically, my state is lagging in people getting both vaccinations. So there's only 47.7% who are fully vaccinated.
Well, how many here are comfortable going outside?
I'm not.
Fully.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
I think
Taking
Patrick,
training all the time.
I think Patrick is.
Yeah.
Guess
I
what?
am.
I'm wearing my mask
But
anytime I go
nobody
out
wants
in
to
public.
get.
Free hands.
Hey, 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 hey.
I hate to say this, but nobody wants to get within coughing distance of the GIMP.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm comfortable. I just take care of myself. That's all.
All right. Now, tomorrow,
Stay away from everybody.
tomorrow I go get my oil changed on my car,
Mm-hmm.
and no mask. Thank fucking God. They don't require it, and I'm not wearing it.
But they keep you in the.
I don't need a diaper on my face. Life is good.
Don't they keep you in the car? Before they were doing that, even the oil change, you would go in there and they kept you in the car while they did the oil change.
Yeah, they will.
No, they better not. I don't want to be sitting on that fucking lift. I want to go look at the showroom. I'm good.
By the way, just a question, and please don't think this is rude of me to ask, but when you're there getting an oil change and a lube job on your car, do they then do it for your wheelchair as well?
That would be nice if they did. But I do have to put oil on the axles of the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
But they never. I should ask them that tomorrow.
Yeah, could you do?
Say, so I'm here for the oil and lube of the car.
How
Does
much?
the wheelchair get included?
And the chair's free. Yeah, you pay for the car, the chair's free.
Yeah. Ask them. It'd be fun to hear what the answer is on that one. So anyway, Tony brought it up. Sirhan looks like he's going to be getting out after all these years.
Did Trump pardon him?
No. The Kennedy family came forward and said they thought that was enough time he should be allowed out of prison.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my
You
God.
come for probation or anything before?
No. He's tried, but
He's tried.
I mean, considering the enormity of what he did or was accused of doing.
What's he been? 53 years he's been in prison?
Something like that, yeah. It's got to be. The Kennedy family has agreed with the pardon. Not the pardon, but the parole. And so it looks like he's probably going to get out. They had a picture of him in the paper today. Looks nothing like he looked when he was a kid, And there's still a lot of question about that. Did you hear what Trump said? Did I see this wrong? But that Trump said that Osama bin Laden wasn't the mastermind of 9/11?
Well, I gotta look. I'm gonna Google it now. You said that because he's one of these truthers, like these conspiracy.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
he
he said that, and I don't know what he bases it on, because even Osama bin Laden was happy to say, "Yep, I did it."
did he claim that he did it? Yeah, he took.
Oh yeah, he never, he pretty
He wore
well.
like a badge of honor.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe he knows something we don't know. Maybe he has some intel we weren't privy to.
Yeah, it's his gut.
Well, I mean, do you think it was just Osama bin Laden that he masterminded this whole thing, or that some of his lieutenants were the ones who really masterminded it?
I'm sure he had an executive council and they all talked about it beforehand.
Well, I mean, or could it have been one of several or a dozen different operations they had going out there, and this is the one that happened? That could be too, you know. So, but anyway, that's the latest from Donald Trump, the latest idiocy from him, you know. And
Some guy, one of my partners in India, just found out I'm online, so he's asking for a meeting right now. Oh my god.
oh boy, why don't you put him on with us?
Yeah.
That'll.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I have good news.
Oh, what?
Remember my car where I thought I blew up the motor?
Which one was
The
this?
McLaren?
The McLaren?
Yeah, the McLaren.
Yeah.
The guy called me today and said, no, everything's fine. Come and pick it up.
Well, what was
No.
wrong? Something was wrong with it, right?
That's
Yeah, that blew a hose, and then now he's trying to tell me there were 2 hoses blown, and that's why they didn't have pressure in the motor, and then blah, 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 blah. And then I don't know what the story is, but my car's fine. I drove the hell of it today, so.
Oh, okay. So you're happy.
Oh my God.
didn't they pull the head off though?
No, they were going to take the whole motor out, and another guy came in, another service guy, started running a couple more tests first, and then he didn't conclude that it was the head gasket. They thought it was something else. I still don't think they know what happened. I still think that maybe they screwed up in the initial test.
Yeah. Well,
And yeah, so I'm happy.
so how many
Happy.
cars do you own?
Now I only own 3.
Only own 3. At my worst, I only own 2. And that's when I had a lot of fuck you money.
2 apartments
I had 2,
and girls at both, and
I had 2 girlfriends. Yes.
coke everywhere.
Well, I just went with the Costco theory that you got to tape them together, you know, and no, I had 2 cars. I had a 300ZX and an Acura. Nothing as extraordinary as your McLaren, however. You know.
Yeah, but they want, so everything is under warranty anyways, but they said to replace a motor was $70,000 if it was a motor.
Now,
Yeah.
and the car didn't cost you that much, did it?
Oh yeah, it did.
Oh, it
Yeah.
did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it did. Oh. Well, you got a lot of fuck you money, huh?
No. I sold 2 of my cars. I sold my cars, so
Yeah.
Sold the fat.
yeah.
The what?
Kevin did good. His car did good at the Hot Wheels show. He got some first place vote and
What was
some
it?
other
You mean the
stuff.
one with the fires smoke out its ass?
Yeah, he got recognition. That was good. He got further than my gold Cadillac did. They just teased me and pretended like I was going to win, and then they gave it to a Honda. So,
Oh. Well,
Yeah, I'm still kind of miffed about it, but I'm not going to say
Well,
that.
so then you know how I feel about the Hall of Fame. So,
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat. I'm kind of. They gave a guy, they let a guy in that videoed in vertical mode, and he should have done it in horizontal, and it was against the rules, and it kind of pissed me off. So.
And he won anyway?
Well, he was in the running, and if he had gotten in, if he had not gone in, I probably would have been the one to get in
Oh.
because the votes were close right there.
Well, what is this? This is like a hot rod show? Is that what it is?
Well, it was a thing to get your car put into made into a Hot Wheels car.
yeah.
Oh.
That's a big thing for car people, but you know.
How do they
And
get
it was
how
only
do-
the
wait a
bottom
minute,
stage.
They make them in
It's
the
like
they make them in the Hot Wheels cars. How do they get them that small?
They put them in the washer and turn on the dryer real high.
Hot water.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shrink.
But I went through a lot of shit, and I actually did a whole video in HDR in 60 frames per second, and the parameters were you had to do it in horizontal, 30 frames per second, and no HDR. And I had done one in completely the wrong parameters, and I went and redid the whole video again.
Yeah.
And sent it in.
And
on
what
the
do you
right
do a
parameters.
video? What do you do a video of? It's not.
Oh, you do it on the front, the back, the side, what it does,
Inside.
and all that shit. And then they cut the fuck out of it
Yeah.
And the video that I did, they cut 3/4 of it out.
What would they do if you just sent them a porno film?
They'd probably arrest me. I don't know.
You probably win.
I'd probably have a knock on the door, but it ended up on the local news. I know that. I didn't see it, but somebody told me that it was on the local news and stuff. So
what, your car or the?
Yeah, the car.
Oh.
And even the guy on the news
now
said,
that's the one you won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's 5 guys, and one is a designer, and that designer put his car in first place. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Actually, 2 of the designers liked it.
Now, where'd you win this? You won this out of some kind of contest in Nevada?
No, it was in Arizona. It was a youth group.
Yeah.
That
so they
put it together, and then I did their fundraiser. And
so they put together this hot car, and
Yeah,
you won it. Now
they built the car. Yeah.
Okay, what you were presenting for this contest or whatever it is, was that just the car as is, or have you made improvements to it?
I made a couple of improvements to it, and one of them was the flamethrowers. I got it to throw flames last week. I installed the coils and made it throw flames out the back of it.
Yeah.
We're gonna cook hot dogs next show.
Yeah. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can see it.
Okay. Your YouTube channel is what?
It's Kevin Stopper.
Just Kevin Stopper.
Yeah, I can post it if you want. But
I think I saw you. I think you asked me. I did it. You asked me. You went to LinkedIn and joined LinkedIn or something. And
oh yeah, I did that. I was messing around with LinkedIn. I don't go in there very often.
Well, and you asked me. You asked me to follow you, so I'm following Kevin Stopper on.
Yeah, you were the head CEO of EIEIO.
Yes, yeah, right. It's the CEO of EIEIO. Oh no, the EIEIO of blah blah blah. But anyway.
Yeah, I was just buzzing through LinkedIn, seeing a bunch of people that I used to work with, and I poked them a couple of times to see if they were still around.
I am on LinkedIn. I've got maybe, I don't know, 1,000 people following me or something, and I've never had anything to do with LinkedIn. I just don't. I don't even get it, to be honest with you.
Well, I don't either. I have people that look for, that want to look for me for jobs and stuff like that. But
who gets jobs out of LinkedIn? Does anybody get jobs out of LinkedIn?
I get offers all the time.
Yeah, I've had offers, but they want me to move to Timbuktu and.
Yeah, headhunters.
Well, I guess
I'm
a lot
of headhunters.
I guess I'm not that good because I've never gotten an offer for anything.
Yeah, they want me to run a nuclear plant, Qatar.
Update your resume, Alex. That's all you need to do.
Well, I think I guess I didn't put my resume out there, But the thing I am signed up for is this casting thing, and they keep sending me all these things about the casting for extras. And I'm thinking of doing some of them when I'm not feeling so tired. Just go after a couple of them and see if I get the jobs. You just 8 hours, you make $184, something like that.
Were you requested down at Trump Tower before he came down the escalator?
No. You mean when they hired extras for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I never saw the casting notice on that one, but what have you. Anyway, I'm going to start the theme here. Been nice tonight, just really nice. Josh?
Yeah, I was listening in earlier. Really good conversation, guys.
Well, because we got some really heavy hitters here when it comes to talking about this kind of stuff. Josh and Vernon and Patrick and Kevin and Tony and Jeff and then, of course, Brian Neary. There's no little kid peeking her head in or anything like that.
No.
No, she's playing games.
She's playing games. Okay. Yeah. Well, she's always playing games. Anyway, hey everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you and say good night to you, and thank you for joining me here on the Citizen Panel. There we go. There's my hand. I was waving off to the side like this, like they could see me. No, not going to happen. Anyway, that's it for tonight. That's it for the week. Stay tuned now for Jack Bishop. He is next with The Intersection. You can call him on Skype at Gabnet Live. That's Gabnet Live, GABNETLIVE. We'll be back again on Monday. We do a little thing called the Pop-Up Program. It's just a really nice gathering of a bunch of people having a good time. And we would love you to join us if you can. And that is on Monday at 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Then again, we'll be back again on Tuesday, same time, 10:30, same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? And by the way, get vaccinated, okay? And wear a mask if you aren't. Bye.